Good morning, Year 10, and welcome to our genetics unit. What a beautiful day it is. So get in, get your study done, and you can go outside and use up that beautiful sunshine, go for a walk or do something physical. Now, today we're following on from what we were looking at in our lessons last week. So we were looking at, the unit is called genetics. We looked at inheritance and we looked at the male and female reproductive systems. So you might wonder, what have the male and female reproductive systems got to do with genetics? But obviously, for us to inherit the characteristics that we possess from our parents, reproduction has got to occur, which obviously involves the male and the female reproductive system. So an egg that is produced by the woman is fertilized by the sperm produced by the man. And that then produces a fertilized egg that goes on to mature and produce an offspring. Now, some people have trouble with conceiving naturally, and some people have a history of genetic diseases in their family that they do not wish to pass on to their offspring. And so science technology has advanced recently, or in the last 30 or so years, where we are able to now help out couples that are unable to reproduce naturally, or for those couples that may have a history of genetic disease and they do not wish to pass that on to their child. And so we can do some pre-implantation genetic testing. So we're going to have a look at that today. So let's go. So the first one we're going to look at today is in vitro fertilization, otherwise known as IVF. So in vitro means out of the body. So this is fertilization of an egg that is occurring outside the body of the female. And so it's a series of procedures that must be undertaken before we even get to the fertilization stage. So firstly, we have to, and there are more stages and we'll look at this in a minute, but there are a number of stages that occur. First, we've got to retrieve the egg. So to do that, a woman is given some hormone injections that she might need to take over a period of time to stimulate the ovaries to produce several mature eggs, not just the one that would normally occur. So she will be having some hormone injections that will involve her producing multiple mature eggs. What happens then is she is called in, and at time of ovulation she is called and they retrieve those eggs. So with that, they use a bit of an ultrasound to guide the needle where to go into the ovaries and withdraw that or those number of eggs. Women can produce a variety of different numbers of those eggs depending on how well that hormone has worked. The man then obviously needs to provide a semen sample, so often he is taken into a collection room and can then bring the sample in as quickly as possible to the facility where they can then use that semen sample to fertilize those eggs. Now, you may have heard in the early days the procedure being called test tube babies. Well, it's not too far wrong. The egg and the sperm are fertilized in a petri dish. So you might remember in our classroom those flat glass dishes, and we can look at them under the microscope. And so what can actually happen is they have the petri dish there with the eggs, and some of them they may let them fuse naturally. So that would be kind of simulating that natural procedure, yes, outside the body, but the egg that, fuses with the sperm produces something by random nature. But otherwise, they can use a technique where they fuse the sperm into the egg, and then the genetic material will combine. Now, what can happen, and usually does happen, is the fertilized egg can be screened just to check that there are no genetic diseases or that the egg is viable and so forth. And then they insert it into the uterus for implantation. So this procedure, when this is taken, is a lengthy period. So the woman has to take some hormone injections. Then we wait for ovulation to occur. She goes into the facility, her eggs are removed, and then they fuse the egg. They usually leave it a couple of days for the division of cells to occur and get it to a further stage along in that process. And then they call the mother back in, they implant it under ultrasound guidance, and then it's a waiting game. So similar to someone who's trying to fall pregnant, they might wait 2 weeks and then they come in and they take a pregnancy test. And that will then tell them whether that has been successful or not. Another process that we are looking at in this reproductive technologies is pre-implantation genetic testing. It's known as PGT for short, and it is a technique that even though couples may be able to conceive naturally, they know that there is a genetic history and a strong, usually genetic history in their family that they want to avoid. So some of those could be cystic fibrosis, Huntington's disease, so forth, that they don't want to pass on to their child. And particularly if it's a dominant disease, they don't want to pass that on. So they go through some pre-implantation genetic testing. So what happens is they again take the egg and the sperm, and the only ones that they will implant back into the mother's body are those that are healthy, that they're aware of, that are healthy or unaffected by a disorder that they were hoping to avoid. So if they come in and they've got a history of Huntington's disease, they will genetically test the egg if it's on the female side, and the sperm if it's on the male side, and then only fuse the egg and the sperm that don't possess that disease. And they may for some other things like correct chromosomal number to make sure that we do have the 46 chromosomes, perhaps that they haven't got any structural abnormalities. So those healthy eggs are fertilized. Now, we can't guarantee what may happen after that stage of development, because obviously some things, the cells are still dividing, some things can occur, but at least we're looking out for those ones that we know we are aware of. So this maximizes their chances of a healthy baby. So it also can increase their chances of that growth and development into the womb. We know that that egg that we are transferring across into the woman at this stage is healthy, so it's more likely to implant and grow. So up to 70% of embryos created either via natural conception or IVF don't survive the first 3 months of pregnancy. So that's when we hear of women having a miscarriage. That happens with natural pregnancies, as we're all aware as well. So 70% of fertilized eggs don't grow into a baby. And that can be that some people didn't even know they were pregnant. They may have just had a heavy period that month at a 5-6 week mark and didn't even know that they were pregnant. And many of them can occur because of these couple of reasons. So what I'm going to get you to do today is to watch this video. It's on how fertilization via IVF works. The link is in Compass, so you can just click on it there. But it's a really clear video. It's 6 minutes long, so it won't take you too long. And there are some questions in a document on Compass as well that I want you to answer. Just answer the questions straight onto the Word document and then upload it into Compass Learning Tasks. Today's lesson shouldn't take you any longer than 30 minutes, which is our allocated science time. So provided you're focused and you actually do spend that 30 minutes doing science, this video is short, the next video is short, and then answer the questions. Have a good day. See you later.